My son, my daughter, listen carefully to what my spirit is telling you now. It is no coincidence that you are here. This is not one video among many, but one call among thousands. While others pass by without noticing, your heart paused for a moment and felt something. That something is me, your God. It was I who interrupted the noise around you to create this moment of encounter. I saw your weariness, your unanswered questions, the silent weight you carry, and the doubt you have hidden even from yourself. I saw everything, and yet I called you. You could be anywhere else, doing anything else, but my love brought you here. It's not the first time I've tried to reach your heart. I've spoken to you through subtle signs, a song that made you cry, an old memory that suddenly returned, someone who said words that seemed to come from nowhere. It is me in every detail, whispering what I now declare aloud. Enough running. It's time to stop and listen. There are things the world cannot give in you, no matter how hard you try to find them. You try to find peace where there is only noise, and security where everything is fleeting. But within you there is something that recognizes my voice, even if you have tried to forget it. This feeling you have now, the shiver, the desire to stay, the tears that want to come out, is living proof that my spirit still moves within you. You are not lost, only distant. And in that distance, I seek you. I saw how hard you try to keep everything afloat, how much you pretend to be okay, and how empty you feel when the lights go out. My child, it is not weakness to need me. I am the one who created you, and therefore I know every part of you, even the parts you hide. I know your falls, the mistakes that shame you, the promises you didn't keep. Yet I am here not to accuse you, but to lift you up. Today I open before you a spiritual door that no one else can open. It is not made of wood or iron, it is made of divine opportunity, and it opens. Only when you choose to listen. What I bring you is more than comfort, it is a realignment. I call you back to your original purpose. I want you to know that even when you strayed, I never abandoned you. Even when you gave up on yourself, I remained believing in who I have made you. All you need to do now is allow me to speak. Let my words enter the place where no human voice has access. Close your eyes for a moment, breathe, and feel my presence enveloping everything. I didn't come to scare you, I came to awaken you. Because something important is about to be lost if you remain deaf to my voice. This is the first part of my calling, and it is only the beginning of what I have to reveal. But to continue, I need you to declare your yes. I want to see your heart respond accordingly to this encounter. If you know that it was I who brought you here, now say with faith, Lord, I am listening. This is your spiritual response, the seal of your awakening. I receive each of your words as a door opening into the invisible. Stay, because what comes after this summons is the revelation of why I chose you. My son, my daughter, listen to what I tell you now with an open heart. This is not the first time I have come to you. I have called you in silence, in songs that touched your soul, in words spoken by people who didn't even know they were being used by me. I have spoken in dreams that seemed strange, in signs that repeated themselves before your eyes, in old memories that returned without reason. All these were my attempts to reach your spirit. I called you once, I called you twice, I spoke a third time, I insisted a fourth time, and now, for the fifth time, I come again, not out of obligation, but out of love. This is the fifth call of grace, the boundary between waiting and awakening. I have been patient, but the time of your indecision is coming to an end. Things are about to change around you, and if you do not listen now, you may miss what I have prepared. I do not. speak to you to cause fear, but to awaken urgency, because every word that comes out of my mouth carries the weight of purpose. I do not waste my voice. When I speak, it is because something spiritual is being moved in the unseen. You asked for signs, and I gave them to you. You asked for answers, and I sent them. But the noise of the world, the fear of failure, the pride of wanting to solve everything alone blocked your ears. And even so, I am still here, calling your name for the 5th time. Grace still stands, even after so many falls. I continue to believe in you. The number 5 is no coincidence. It represents the limit of divine patience, but also the peak of mercy. It is the point where love speaks louder than resistance. I waited for you amidst tears, mistakes, and broken promises. I saw you come and go so many times, and each return was received as a miracle. But now it's different. What I am releasing at this moment is the last warning before the transformation. Do not let distraction steal what is being deposited in your spirit. You look around. Do you realize how everything has been pushing you toward this encounter? Nothing is a coincidence. The person who told you about me, the video that appeared in your path, the shiver you feel now, everything was orchestrated by me. It is the whole of heaven conspiring for you to awaken. I have brought you to the edge of the promise, and you only need to take one more step to cross over. I am not here to punish you, but to set you free. I want to break the cycle of interrupted attempts. Each time you resisted, something within you grew heavier. Today, I remove that weight. I will breathe upon you a new breath, a strength that comes not from the flesh nor the mind, but from my spirit. Feel what I tell you. This word is the line that separates yesterday and tomorrow. You have been called 5 times because what I carry within you is too great to be lost. Your life is not a coincidence. There are promises that depend on your obedience. There are people who will be reached by your yes, and that is why I insist once more. Grace is not weary, but is approaching the point of harvest. And whoever does not respond will remain trapped in the time I have already left behind. Look inside. See how many times you've tried to go it alone and ended up exhausted. I offer you the path of rest, where you don't need to fight against everything. Just listen and follow. Everything you lose, I restore. Everything that confused you, I transform into direction. This is the 5th call. It is the moment when love conquers silence. Open your heart and listen as if it were the first time, but understand as if it were the last. What is being said now is sacred. It is all of heaven saying, there is still time, but time is passing. If this message burns in your heart, share it with someone who also needs to hear this voice today. Grace is still at work, and your obedience is the bridge to the next miracle. I am here, calling you again, and I will wait for your response until your heart finally says, yes, Lord, I am ready. My son, my daughter, what you are hearing now is no longer a reminder. It is the turning point. You have sought signs, cried out in silence, asked in tears if I still hear you, and today I answer you, yes, I have always heard you. This is the moment your knees asked for without you realizing it. It is the hour when the invisible reveals itself, the instant when what was doubt becomes direction. Many times you have asked me for confirmation. You said, Lord, speak to me clearly. I just want to be sure. Well, here I am. There are no intermediaries, no coincidence. It is I, your God, speaking to you directly. Every word you hear was whispered to reach the exact place where your faith was almost lost. I come to rekindle what time has tried to extinguish. But I want you to understand something profound. This is the last time I speak to you in this way. Not because I will stop loving you, but because I have already sown everything you need to walk this path. Now, what comes next depends on your response. The love I offer you does not force, it invites. The call I give you does not bind, it liberates. You have before you the power to change the course of your story simply by saying yes to my will. Therefore, I want your full attention. Don't divide this moment with thoughts or distractions. I myself brought you here to reveal what you secretly asked for. What is about to happen is an answer to prayer. Do not fear, because the revelation that comes is not to frighten you, but to prepare you. You will feel seen, understood, and finally at peace. As you listen, something within you will be stirred. Invisible currents will fall, old guilts will dissolve, and a new page will begin to be written. It is the beginning of a different cycle, where you will finally see that nothing you have lived through was in vain. Every pain, every loss, every silence had a purpose. I transformed wounds into wisdom, falls into fertile ground, and waiting into miracles. So I tell you, don't leave before you hear everything. What awaits you at the end of this message is more than comfort, it's divine guidance. Many stop halfway through and miss what I have prepared for the end. But you, who are still here, have been set apart to receive something that will change your life. I am about to show you what your eyes cannot see, but your soul has always known existed. I gave you the gift of resistance, and now I will give you the gift of starting over. Your past has no power over what I have decided to do in your future. The doors I closed were not punishment, they were deliverance. And those I will open next will be an answer, not a coincidence. My will is being fulfilled in you, even when it seems like silence. But for everything to come to pass, I need your continued presence. I need you to choose to stay, to listen, to trust, because there are words that only flourish in the heart that perseveres until the end. He who endures the process sees the miracle born. So listen, my child. This is the line between the old and the new. What I bring you now is no longer a warning, it is a promise. The promise of a complete restoration, not only in your circumstances, but within you. I will restore your brilliance, your courage, your faith, and the purpose you thought you had lost. I breathe new life into what you thought was finished. If this message has touched your spirit, show your faith like this message, and subscribe to continue hearing the voice that speaks to you. I receive your decision as one who plants seeds in eternity. And I promise you, if you remain, you will see the fulfillment of every word. This is the last time I call you like this, with patience, with tenderness, and with hope. The next time you speak to me, it will no longer be a cry of despair, but a song of victory. Because what begins today is the beginning of your spiritual transformation. My son, my daughter, how many times have I tried to speak to you, only to be swallowed up by the noise around you? The world screams, voices vie for your attention, and my presence, which is gentle, seems to disappear amidst so many sounds. But I have never stopped speaking. I have whispered in the intervals between your weariness, in the pauses when your heart slows down and, for a moment, you still remember that there is something greater, but you almost always postpone the sacred. I see when you wake up in the morning with your mind already full of worries. I see how quickly you try to solve everything on your own. You barely open your eyes, and you're already thrown into the noise of the world. Messages, tasks, news, comparisons. And in the midst of all this, you forget to listen to me. You forget that I am the only voice that can bring peace to what consumes you. My voice doesn't impose itself, it doesn't invade, it invites. And that's why it's so easy to lose it when your heart is full of urgencies that don't matter. I watch you, not with anger, but with tenderness. because every time you distance yourself from me, I feel the emptiness you leave behind. A father's love doesn't fade with distance, it only saddens, and even so, I remain by your side. While the world demands more and more from you, I only ask that you stop for a moment to listen. What I'm trying to tell you isn't a rule, it's guidance. It's not demands, it's care. There are times when I speak through circumstances and you call it coincidence. Other times I speak through silence and you think I have abandoned you. But silence, my child, is my deepest language. When all is quiet, that is where I work most. And if you do not listen to me, it is because you are still busy trying to control what never depended on you. You've said you want to change, but you remain trapped in the same rush. You say you desire peace, but you insist on living surrounded by noise. Daughter, understand, I cannot be heard where the heart lives in war. My voice dwells in stillness. Only when you decide to stop will you find me. And when you finally listen, fear loses its power, anxiety dissolves, and the soul begins to breathe again. Do you remember when you believed more? When you called upon me with confidence, even without understanding anything? That was the time when you listened to me better, because your faith was not yet stifled by reason. Today, you want proof, signs, guarantees, but I don't speak to prove who I am. I speak to remind you who you are. What separates you from me is not error, but spiritual deafness. You have become accustomed to seeking me only when despair overtakes you. I answer you because I am merciful, but my desire is that you learn to hear me also in calm times. I want to be a part of your day, not just your source of help. I want to walk with you through small decisions, not just through storms. While the world teaches you to run, I teach you to stay. While they tell you that value lies in abundance, I show you that the miracle lies in simplicity. Every time you stop and be silent to listen to me, you heal something within yourself. Because my voice is not sound, it is presence. When I speak to you, even what seemed lost finds new meaning. I know you've been trying to stay strong. I know how much you want to succeed and how much you blame yourself for not being able to. But I don't want your strength, I want your surrender. I didn't call you to be invincible. I called you to be sensitive to my presence. When you realize that your limit is the beginning of my action, your life will change direction. Today, I ask only this of you: silence the world within you for a few seconds and let me speak. Do not fear what I may say. What comes from me always brings peace, even when it corrects. I did not come to condemn you, I came to awaken you. Listen again as you did the first time, when your heart recognized the sound of eternity. Just listen. He remains silent for a moment and feels the difference between the noise and my voice. If you can recognize this presence now, you will know that I never left. I have been here all along, patiently waiting for you to remember that your soul was born to hear me, my son, my daughter. Even when you think all is silent, I continue to speak. My sound is not always heard by the ears, but felt in the soul. There are days when you think heaven is closed, but in truth, it is your heart that has strayed from the rhythm of my voice. I never stop calling you. Even in the hours when discouragement covers you like a shadow, my presence remains, breathing within you, asking for passage. What you feel as emptiness is not absence, it is longing for the divine. It is your spirit crying out for the origin from which it came. Human beings can become accustomed to everything except the absence of me. When you try to fill this space with what the world offers, your heart remains restless because only the eternal fills what is eternal. There is something within you that recognizes me, even when your mind doubts. That gentle voice that insists on calling you by name is the echo of my love, resonating in the depths of your soul. When I speak, I don't always use words. Sometimes I reach you through sensations, premonitions, shivers, sudden memories that arise from nowhere. It is I reminding you that I am still here. Even when you think you don't hear me, I walk with you in the intervals of your weariness. I feel your tears before they fall, and I soothe your soul when you no longer know what to say. I am the sigh that keeps you standing when everything seems too heavy. There are days when you seek me and feel nothing. Your mind goes silent, your emotions fade, and you believe I have failed you. But this is precisely when I work the most. It is in the apparent silence that I purify your faith. Because faith is not feeling, it is trusting even when everything seems mute. If you only listen to me when it comforts you, you will not grow. I teach you to perceive that even silence speaks when you are able to recognize me beyond sensations. I call to you from within, and that voice is insistent because I love you. Sometimes I let your own words echo and make you realize that your soul has my sound. The prayers that seemed unanswered were seeds planted at the right time. They are not lost. They only ripen in the invisible. And when the fruit of your faith is ready, you will understand that there was never any distance between us. Don't let the noise of your emotions distort the sound of my call. When you feel confused, don't speak anymore, just listen. I am between one breath and another, in the space the world calls emptiness. It is there that I reveal myself. Your pain has been the framework of my purpose. The pauses, the delays, the frustrations, all of this carries the echo of my voice, trying to make you stop and listen. Look back, and you will see how many times I have prevented you from falling down paths you yourself chose. Do you feel the shiver now, the lightness that comes? It is my spirit confirming that this word is for you. I have waited for the moment when your spiritual ears would open again. Today, that moment has arrived. Your soul hungers for the original sound that created it. And I, the God who formed you, speak to you in a way that the body does not understand, but the spirit recognizes. Do not become accustomed to the noise of the world. Learn the sound of heaven. It is peace, direction, truth. And whenever you feel lost, return to that sound. Close your eyes and remember, my love always echoes where there is silence. If you feel the time has come to reopen your spiritual ears, comment now with faith. 7,777. Each number is a step back to the place of listening, to the point where it all began. Because I, the Lord, never stopped calling you. I only waited for the moment when your heart would respond again. My son, my daughter, what you call emptiness is in truth the purest form in which I make myself heard. When everything seems silent, when emotion disappears and the heart feels weary, that is when my voice draws near with greater force. But it does not shout, it does not invade, it simply exists within the silence. The emptiness that frightens you is the space I have prepared to converse with you. While the world fills with noise, I choose silence to reveal myself. You ask me for signs, but I speak to you through the pauses. It is in the time when nothing happens that I mold your faith. Your solitude is a room where only the two of us fit. When the noise of the world fades and people cease to understand what you are experiencing, it is there that I begin to teach you. No emptiness is punishment. It is a calling. It is the echo of eternity within your soul, crying out for the source that once created it. I see how you try to escape this silence, seeking distractions to prevent you from thinking. I see how you fill the hours, to avoid feeling the weight of the longing that my name carries. But the more you try to run away, the more the emptiness speaks. Because it is not your enemy, it is your spiritual alarm clock. It reminds you that no success, no company, no achievement can occupy the place from which I never left. There is a sound in absence that only a sensitive heart can perceive. When you think you are alone, you hear your own breathing and think that no one is listening to you. But it is I who accompany every beat of your heart. I am there, in the midst of the silence you try to ignore. Every thought of yours, every memory that visits you for no reason, is a subtle way for me to reach you. Emptiness speaks in a way the world doesn't understand. It is my deepest language. The absence that weighs you down is the presence that calls to you. It's longing for the time when we talked without haste, when you believed even without seeing, when you trusted even without understanding. This longing is sacred. It's the sign that you still belong to me. Don't be alarmed by this inner space that seems cold. It is there that the seed grows before it blossoms. Silence is the soil where I deposit promises. Emptiness is the womb of transformation. And every time you feel small, useless, forgotten, remember, it is there that I create space for the new to be born. There is no reconstruction without absence. There is no new beginning without emptying. Let that emptiness speak to you. Listen to what it's trying to say. It doesn't ask for fulfillment. It asks for attention. It's your soul crying out for rest. It's my spirit calling you back home. Don't run from this call disguised as loneliness, because while you fill yourself with everything that passes, you lose what remains. You have felt this lack and thought it was sadness, but it is a hunger for eternity. It is your heart remembering the taste of divine presence. When you feel it again, do not silence it. Allow it to transform into a search. And when this search brings you to me, you will understand that emptiness was never punishment. It was direction. I was never far away. I simply withdrew so that you might perceive the difference between my presence and what the world offers you. Now that the silence speaks to you, understand, this is my way of calling you back. If this message has touched your soul, share it with someone who also needs to understand that silence is the voice of God calling back. Emptiness is the altar where the divine self and your heart meet again. And when you learn to listen to what seems like nothing, you will discover that nothingness is the place where everything begins again. My son, my daughter, listen carefully to what I tell you now. I have called you 4 times before, and this is the 5th. I do not speak to frighten you, but so that you understand the seriousness of this moment. Each time my voice reached you, something in the spiritual world moved in your favor. But today, there is a different weight in the air. All of heaven is watching this hour, because this is the last time I call you like this, with such tenderness and patience. I have been with you through every stage, when I felt you were weak, when you struggled alone, when I shielded you from danger, and when you ignored my care. Even then, I remained. I am the same one who raised you from the ashes, the same one who wiped away your tears when no one else saw value in you. But now, my child, the time of waiting is becoming the time of decision. This is the final call of grace. The 5th, the number that carries the meaning of mercy. I am not ending my love, but opening the last portal before the turning point. And whoever hears this voice and responds will see the impossible become reality. Do not wait for any more signs. The sign is this word, the sound that now touches the depths of your soul. I know you felt the weight of your own choices. I know fear visits you, and sometimes you believe I've grown tired of waiting for you, but I never tire of loving. What changes is time, and the harvest time is coming. Everything I planted in you needs to bloom, but for that to happen, you have to say yes. Grace is still available, but it won't be infinite, because true love also teaches you to decide. My son, do not delay what your spirit has already confirmed. This is the time to break the cycle of resistance. The world is shouting louder, and your faith needs to learn to whisper, my name, even amidst the voices. When I call you, hell stirs, for it knows there is purpose in you. There are gifts that have been silenced. There are promises that still sleep within your soul. And I have come now, for the 5th time, to awaken them. If you could see how much the enemy fears your awakening, you would understand why the distraction has been so strong. Every time you almost turn to me, something tries to hold you back to the past. But I tell you, the past has lost its authority over you. I have already covered it with grace, and this grace reaches you once more, perhaps for the last time. You have asked for answers, and I have sent them. But when I answer you, you often doubt. Doubt no more. This is the confirmation you have been waiting for. Everything you have experienced, every struggle, every delay, was the process of refinement. Now the rough stone begins to reveal its brilliance. I did not bring you this far to give up again. What I am doing now is placing you before a choice that changes the course of everything. What I will do next depends on your surrender. If you stay, I will move forward with you. If you turn back, I will respect your silence, but the path will become more difficult. Free will is the greatest gift I have given you, but also the most dangerous. Use it wisely. Choosing to listen is choosing to live. You feel this word like a seal. It comes from a place where time does not exist, and it brings with it the chance that many have asked for and not received. You are still breathing, and while there is breath, there is hope. This is the last time I call you in this tone, sweet, patient, compassionate. The next time you hear me, it will be through the consequences or the harvests. And what you do now decides the sound of tomorrow. I beg you, do not let my love become a distant echo. Do not let this voice get lost among so many others. Take what you are feeling at this moment and transform it into a decision. Speak to me with your heart. Kneel your soul and surrender control. If you do, you will see the impossible unfold before your eyes. If this message speaks to you, demonstrate your faith like this message and subscribe to continue receiving the sound of my voice each new day. The 5th call has been made, and heaven awaits your response. Because from now on, your steps will determine whether what I planted in you will blossom in due time or remain dormant until your heart awakens once more. My son, my daughter, the greatest enemy of your transformation is not error, but procrastination. It is the later that steals the present from you. How many times has my spirit touched your heart and you have said, Lord, I know, but it's not the right time? How many times have you promised yourself to change when things get better, when there is time, when you feel stronger? And while you wait for the perfect day, life passes by, your heart hardens, and your faith slowly fades. Every time you postpone saying yes, something inside you weakens. Every time you place obedience on tomorrow, you allow the present to be tainted by distraction. The enemy doesn't need to convince you to give up, just to make you postpone, because later is the most subtle trap there is. It gives you the illusion that you are still in control, when in reality, you are paralyzed. I have been speaking to you for some time, and you know it. You recognize my voice. You feel the shiver, the sacred weight that envelops you, but you take refuge in the excuse that you are not yet ready. And I ask you, when will you be? The heart will never be fully prepared, because preparation comes from obedience, not from waiting. You say, later, and heaven hears not now, and time, which is a precious gift, continues to pass. Don't delay any longer. Every day you put me off. You distance yourself a little further from the purpose I planned for you. Procrastination is the disguise of disbelief. When you say, "I'll try later," it's fear speaking for you. Fear of failing, fear of losing, fear of giving up. But I promise you, what I ask of you is never to diminish you, it's to elevate you. What I ask you to let go of is only what holds you back. There is an invisible line that separates the time of grace from the time of consequence. You don't know where it is, and that's why I speak with urgency. Many cross it without realizing it, and only understand when it's too late to turn back. I don't want that for you. That's why I call you while there is still light. Every yes you deny me today will be one more battle tomorrow. Every delay becomes a burden. Look around you, see how much you've been putting off. You promise to forgive, and yet you still hold a grudge. You promise to return to prayer, but you get distracted by nothing. You promise to care for your soul, but you prioritize what tires and empties you. I tell you with love, time waits for no one. The opportunity you have today will not be the same tomorrow. The door of grace is still open, but it won't stay that way forever. When I say now, it's because heaven has aligned in your favor at this very moment. It's because something is being released that depends on your immediate response. There are blessings prepared, waiting for your step of faith. And if you wait too long, the wind will pass, the season will change, and what was easy will become arduous. Later is the captivity of the indecisive. Make no mistake, time is spiritual. Tomorrow is merely a human promise, but now is divine time. When I say come, it is because I have already prepared the way. And when you answer me later, it is as if you are closing the door to the miracle from the inside. Heaven always acts in the present. It is in the now that faith works. It is in the now that chains fall. It is in the now that the Spirit moves. Do not let the fear of what is to come prevent you from obeying what you know to be right. Fear is the hindrance of the Spirit. I assure you, nothing you lose by obeying me compares to what I will give you in return. I do not ask for sacrifice, I ask for trust. This is a holy hour, and I speak to you as a father who sees danger approaching. The later has led many to lose what I have prepared with so much love. Do not say tomorrow anymore. Tomorrow is uncertain. Now is the altar where I am. Choose to respond while you feel me near, because the time will come when you will seek me, and the sound will be different. My child, I don't just want your verbal repentance, I want your decision of faith. Your spiritual destiny begins with a yes, and that yes needs to be said today. What I do in your life begins when you leave fear and procrastination at my feet. Hesitation is the door that keeps the enemy inside, and obedience is the key that drives him out. This is your time. The sound of my voice is not a demand, it is liberation. I did not come to pressure you, I came to free you from the cycle of later, because he who lives postponing never truly lives. My time is now, and it is in now that I want to meet you. My son, my daughter, you have now reached the point where you must decide. There is no longer any way to walk divided between two paths. The time for indecision is over. You know what is right, you know where the truth lies, and yet you hesitate, trying to balance what is holy with what imprisons you. But my spirit tells you with love and authority, a wrong choice costs you everything, and the right one changes everything. Before you lie two paths, the path of surrender and the path of resistance. The first is narrow, demanding faith, renunciation, and courage. The second seems easier, but ends in emptiness. Many choose the wide path because they do not want to let go of what weakens them. However, the path I have traced is the one that transforms your heart before transforming your life. The destiny of your soul depends on the direction you take today. I have waited for you at every crossroads. I saw when you took shortcuts that led you away from me. I saw when you chose to silence your conscience to avoid feeling guilt. But now, my voice breaks the silence to place you before the truth. There is no more room for spiritual neutrality. Either you follow me or you continue wandering. I do not force you. I only show you what lies on each side. On one side, there is control, pride, and the desire to do everything alone. On the other, there is surrender, trust, and the peace that the world cannot give. When you go it alone, you run aimlessly. When you walk with me, even standing still, you move forward. The difference between chaos and promise is just one decision: to place me at the center. Every time you try to live between two worlds, your soul is divided. That's why you feel tired, confused, and weak. Spiritual duplicity corrodes from the inside out. You say you love me, but you still negotiate with what destroys you. You say you trust me, but you still plan alternative routes in case I take too long. Understand, it's not about perfection, but about priorities. I want to be the first, not the last resort. There is an invisible war raging around your life. Every choice you make has weight in heaven and echoes in hell. When you obey, the enemy loses ground. When you delay, he regains strength. That is why I speak to you now, with firmness and tenderness. Choose the path of light. The obedience that today seems like renunciation will be the harvest of tomorrow. And the resistance that now seems like protection will be the prison that tomorrow will prevent you from moving forward. Do not fear losing what you must leave behind. What I ask of you is never loss, it is exchange. Everything you surrender at my feet returns purified and multiplied. Every door you let close in obedience opens 7 others that no man can lock. What the world calls renunciation, I call liberation. You know this word is for you. You feel your heart beating differently, your spirit restless, as if something inside you wants to burst into tears and a new beginning. It is my spirit confirming that the time has come. Do not let fear hold you back. Fear is the shadow of sleeping faith. And now I awaken you to a living faith, one that walks without guarantees, but secure in my voice. My son, if you continue trying to please the world, you will lose the clarity of heaven. And if you continue trying to control what you have already surrendered, you will hinder the miracle that is underway. Choosing the right path is choosing to depend on me. And when you lay down your weapons and let me fight for you, I enter into battles that you could never win alone. I don't just want your faith in victories, I want your trust in waiting. It is in the silence of obedience that I build your miracles. While you decide, the spiritual world moves. There are angels waiting for your yes to release what is being held back. Heaven responds to obedience, not to indecision. This is the crossroads of the Spirit, and there's no escaping it. One step forward in the right direction changes the course of your entire story. The path of light is narrow, but it's the only one that leads to life. I call you with love, but also with urgency. Don't stand still in the middle of nowhere, looking both ways. Choose and come. What I have prepared for you is greater than what you leave behind. If this message speaks to you, show in your faith. Like this video and confirm with your actions what your heart has already decided. The path lies before you, illuminated by my word. Now the next step is yours. And when you take it, you will see that I was already there waiting for you from the beginning. My son, my daughter, even when you thought I had left, I remained by your side. While you ran away, while you tried to erase what you felt, I covered you. You didn't realize it, but you were sustained by my hands when everything pointed to your downfall. Every door that closed, every plan that didn't work out, every person who drifted away, none of that was by chance. They were my wings protecting you from what you could not bear. You thought I had abandoned you because the silence of heaven seemed heavy, but the silence was not absence, it was strategy. I watched over you while I molded your strength. There were times when I saw you cry silently and wanted to intervene immediately, but if I did, your faith would not grow. I needed you to learn to trust, even when nothing made sense. It was the only way to heal your roots. There were nights when danger lurked in your life and you didn't even realize it. I disarmed evil before it reached your door. I removed people from your path because I saw intentions your eyes couldn't see. I prevented conversations, encounters, decisions that would destroy you. And while you were getting angry thinking the world rejected you, it was my love protecting you from falls you couldn't bear. You cannot imagine how many times the enemy plotted to attack your mind, your health, your home, and I stood between you and destruction. I never slept, never looked away. Your every step was watched with zeal. When everything seemed to collapse, I was holding up what you could not see. You were sustained by the unseen. My child, my love is not what you feel. It is what keeps you alive even when you doubt. You don't need to feel me to know that I am there. The proof of my presence is the breath you still have, the strength that returns even when you think it's over. There is a covering over your life that cannot be broken. It is the seal of the covenant I made with you even before you were born. There's a reason you're still here. Others have given up, others have surrendered, but you remain. This isn't luck, it's care. I preserved you because there's something in you that still needs to blossom. Even when you chose the wrong paths, I walked behind you, picking up the pieces, preventing the enemy from using your falls to destroy you. What he thought was your end, I transformed into a process of restoration. I didn't come to remind you of what you lost, but of how much you were protected. Many looked at you and saw no value, but I always saw what you carry within. I protected you because I know what I placed in you. Even when you said you didn't want to fight anymore, I stayed. And every time you thought of giving up, an inexplicable force pushed you forward. That force was my love in motion. You don't need to understand all of my ways. Just trust that none of them will lead you to ruin. I protect you even from yourself, from your thoughtless choices, from the words you say without realizing it, from the feelings that blind you. I am your shelter, your shield, your fortress. When fear paralyzes you, it is I who stand before you. Now, I tell you, look back with different eyes. Realize that in each phase, in each pain, there was care. The love that protects you is not measured in visible miracles, but in deliverances you didn't even notice. I protect you because there are still promises to fulfill, and I will not allow anything to touch what is sacred within you. This is the kind of love that doesn't give up, even when forgotten. It's the love that transcends time and sustains generations. And today, I speak to you not to remind you of your guilt, but of how much you are still loved. Share this voice with someone who needs to remember that they are still loved. The same love that has protected you until now is what will guide you to the fulfillment of the promise. And when you look back, you will understand that what you called loneliness was only my embrace enveloping you in the darkness. My son, my daughter, come closer. Place your soul before me and release the weight you have been carrying. You have been trying to be too strong for too long. You have been carrying what was not meant to be carried alone. I did not call you to bear the world on your shoulders, but to rest in my arms. It is time to lower your guard, to stop fighting with your own strength, and allow my love to envelop you. You say you trust in me, but you keep waking up with a warring heart. Your mind won't quiet down, your body feels it, your spirit grows weary. And I watch with tenderness each time you try to solve alone what only heaven can transform. My child, you were not made to live exhausted. You were created to live in me. The rest I offer you is not just for the body, it's for the heart. It's the rest of the soul that finally understands it no longer needs to prove anything. I see how you blame yourself, how you punish yourself, how you try to compensate for mistakes that have already been forgiven. There are wounds you still carry because you believe you become more worthy if you continue to suffer. But I have already taken the blame. I have already paid the price. I don't want your pain. I want your surrender. When I asked you to trust, it wasn't to expose you, it was to heal you. Because rest doesn't come from running away, it comes from trust. Your greatest weariness comes from resistance. The more you try to control, the more you lose yourself. Pride, disguised as strength, prevents you from receiving the peace that is already available. You don't need to prove you are capable. The capacity you have comes from me. I know you in your essence, and I know exactly how much you can endure. Therefore, before you crumble, I call you to the embrace of rest. Here, there is no demand. There is comfort. There is no requirement. There is relief. Feel me now. Don't rush. Don't explain. Just breathe and listen to the sound of my presence surrounding you. This is the safe place your soul has been searching for in so many wrong places. Here, time slows down, pain loses its name, and guilt dissolves. I restore you in stillness. While the world demands movement from you, I teach you to stop, because it is in stillness that you find me. How many times have you promised yourself peace? How many times have you said that when everything is resolved, then you will rest? But the peace you expect is not in the future. It is in me, and I am here now. Your mind has become accustomed to the rhythm of urgency, but your spirit yearns for the rhythm of eternity. Let me rebalance your steps, align your emotions, and heal the weariness you show to no one. I did not come to judge you, I came to embrace you. I do not push you away because I am tired. I draw you closer because you are wounded. My arms are a place of healing, not of condemnation. When you lie on my chest, the voices that torment you will be silenced. When you trust in me, what was once a storm will transform into calm. Your soul no longer needs to run, only to remain. Understand, rest is not giving up. Resting in me is declaring that you believe your tomorrow is already taken care of. The control that weighs you down becomes light when you surrender it. Let me guide you. Let me carry you. Let me heal you. What seems like loss to you is merely the time it takes for an invisible mend. I am stitching together what has been torn within you. My child, I do not promise you a life without challenges, but I promise my presence in each one of them, and my presence is all you need to avoid succumbing. When you walk with me, chaos loses its power. When you rest in me, fear loses its power. And when you surrender completely, the wounds that are defined, you are transformed into testimonies. You don't need to earn rest. It is a gift. It is grace. It is the inheritance of those who have learned to trust. Peace will not come when the world changes. It will come when you change the place where you rest. Rest in my arms, where eternity touches time, where the impossible dissolves, where love is enough. I tell you sweetly, while you try to hold everything together, I will hold you. When you let go of the weight, you will see the miracle that has always been prepared. You don't need to understand how, just accept the care. Remain steadfast under this voice, for there are still words prepared just for you. Rest is the altar where faith is reborn. When you surrender control, you lose nothing, you gain everything. Because the true miracle is not in seeing circumstances change, it's in realizing that your heart is no longer the same. Stay here and let me take care of you until the storm within you subsides. My son, my daughter, my love, does not wear down with your falls. My forgiveness has no expiration date. I know every step you have taken, every word you have said, every thought you have hidden, and yet I continue to say, I love you. There is no mistake of yours capable of tiring my heart. What many would call a limit, I call an opportunity to rescue you. My love has no end because it was not born of merit. It was born of essence. I am love, and therefore I cannot fail to forgive. You believed that because you erred so many times, heaven would fall silent. You thought that your failings had ended the conversation between us, but I never stopped speaking to you. Even when you turned away, I continued whispering in the winds of your conscience. Sin may shake your heart, but it never extinguishes my call. When you deny me, I remain. When you forget me, I am still here. My love is not a human sentiment. It is an eternal covenant. How many times have you promised to change and failed? How many times have you cried, feeling ashamed to return, thinking I was already tired of your excuses? I saw each of those tears and kept them all. None of them were useless. They didn't prove your weakness, they proved your sensitivity. Every time you seek me, even feeling unclean, heaven rejoices, because I don't seek perfection, I seek surrender. There are those who have judged you and made you believe that you are not worthy of being forgiven. But those who condemn you do not know the depth of my grace. What I do in you is a secret between your heart and my throne. It is not a matter for witnesses. It is a story that I myself write with you. My forgiveness is a river that never runs dry. You can run away, but if you fall into the course of my waters, you will be washed again. What I did on the cross was not a symbolic act. It was the beginning of a movement that still reaches those who feel distant. The blood I shed has not dried. It still flows in the invisible, purifying those who turn to me. Forgiveness is not a response to your strength. It is the result of my faithfulness. When I say, it is done, the past ceases to have dominion. The enemy tries to remind you of what I have already forgotten, but my love has selective memory. It erases the error and preserves only the purpose. Many think that forgiveness is the end of the story, but in me, forgiveness is a new beginning. When I forgive you, I don't just cleanse the past, I redesign your path. I transform the place where you fell into an altar of testimony. Each time I lift you up, something new is born within you. Your scars become maps that guide others back to hope. Therefore, never be ashamed of what I have already healed. I know there are mistakes you still carry in your heart like open wounds, and today I tell you, the time has come to let them heal. What hurt you will not define who you will be. What you did yesterday has no power over the tomorrow I have prepared. If you still sin again, return to me as well. Do not hide. Shame is an invisible prison, created to keep you away from grace. But forgiveness is a key that never loses its power. No matter how many times you come, I will always open the door, not out of weakness, but out of love. Because each of your returns is a victory for heaven. Each "Father, forgive me" of yours is an echo that fills the angels with joy. When a child returns, the Father's heart expands. I see you coming from afar, and I run to meet you. I don't expect explanations. I don't demand compensation. I just embrace you. You still don't understand the greatness of what I offer you. The forgiveness I give you not only erases the mistake, it restores your dignity. I clothe you again with purpose. I return color to what guilt had left gray. Your value has not diminished because of your flaws, because the value you have was not born from what you do, but from who you are. My son, my daughter, when I look at you, I don't see the mistake, I see the potential. When I hear your prayers, I don't hear excuses, I hear sincere repentance. And true repentance always opens space for renewal. I don't look at your history, I look at your heart. And when it bends, I incline myself. My son, don't let remorse become a wall between us. Remorse looks back and holds you captive. Repentance looks to me and sets you free. Don't live imprisoned by what I have already set you free. Walk lightly, walk clean, walk in peace. The forgiveness I gave you is stronger than the mistake you made. Each time I forgave you, a new cycle began. And now, at this very moment, I open another. Grace is before you like an open door. Pass through it with confidence. Do not look to the sides. Do not listen to the voices that try to remind you of the past. I, the Lord, declare, it is done, it is cleansed, it is beginning again. If this message touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to remember that God's forgiveness never runs out. The forgiveness that comes from me is not merely consolation, it is fuel for purpose. Because every soul that learns to be forgiven also learns to love. And love, my child, is the true miracle that never tires, never fails, and never ends. My son, my daughter, I want you to close your eyes for a moment and return with me to the moment when you first felt me. Do you remember? It wasn't an ordinary day. Something different happened within you, something you couldn't explain. Perhaps you were in a church service, perhaps alone in your room, perhaps wandering aimlessly. But suddenly, a warmth filled your chest, a peace descended upon you, and in that instant, you knew that I was real. That wasn't your imagination, it was my touch. There was purity in that moment. There was no fear, no hurry, no doubt, only the certainty that I saw you, that you were never alone. That touch was the beginning of a story between us, a covenant sealed with the Spirit and not with human words. And even if you have tried to forget it, that memory remains alive within you, pulsing like an echo in the depths of your soul. You wonder why things seemed easier before, why love seemed more intense. It's because in the beginning, you weren't trying to understand me, only to feel me. Faith doesn't need to understand, it simply responds. Over time, the world taught you to doubt what is simple, and what was intimate became distant. But I never stopped touching you. You just began to feel less because your mind became more powerful than your spirit. I brought you back to this memory because I want to rekindle the flame that once burned within you. I want to restore the brilliance that weariness extinguished. Life, disappointments, mistakes, all of that covered your heart with layers that hid the sensitivity of the beginning. But it's still there. Beneath the guilt, beneath the rush, that same love that once made you cry with gratitude still lives. You miss that time, not just the emotions, but the lightness. Do you remember what it was like to trust? How you prayed and felt the answer in the breeze, in the morning sun, in small coincidences? That wasn't a coincidence. It was me. I was always there, in the minutiae of your daily life. You were the one who got distracted, but my presence never left. Today, I come to call you back to your first love, not to the time that has passed, but to the feeling that remains available. I want you to feel again the same shiver, the same peace, the same purity of that initial touch. Because it wasn't you who found me, it was I who sought you. Your heart was the altar I chose to dwell in. And if one day the fire diminished, it wasn't because I abandoned you, it was because I waited for you to stop so I could rekindle it. Let me breathe upon the embers of your soul. Close your eyes and remember what you felt that day. Remember how you cried without understanding, how you felt something changing within you. That didn't end there. That touch was the beginning of a journey that continues. The same God who touched you back then touches you again now, with the same sweetness and even more love. The first touch wasn't the end, it was the seed, and every seed germinates when watered by memory. To remember is to water. To return to first love is to bring back the sensitivity that the world stole. I don't want you to go back to being who you were. I want you to remember who you always were in my eyes. Today, I am here in the same spiritual place where I first met you, waiting for you. Time has passed, the seasons have changed, but my heart remains the same. And every time you pronounce my name, I feel the sound of the original promise being rekindled. There is something sacred in this memory. It is not nostalgia, it is restoration. When you remember how simple it was to love me, your faith is purified. When you return to that first touch, your soul reconnects with eternity. And there, everything makes sense again. So, take a deep breath and allow the sacred past to embrace you once more. I am not bound to that day, but that memory is a portal, a meeting point between who you were and who you will still be. The touch that transformed you once will be the same one that lifts you up now, because the love that chose you before continues to choose you today. If this memory has made you feel my presence again, say with faith, I remember, Lord. Your memory is a silent prayer. And every time you say, I remember, heaven stirs, rekindling what seemed extinguished. The love from the beginning hasn't died. It was simply waiting for your return to the same place, the place where it all began between us. My son, my daughter, listen carefully to what I tell you now. What I planted within you never died. Even when you thought faith had been extinguished, the fire still burned silently. It was hidden beneath the ashes of your pain, your distractions, and your fears. I never let the flame go out. I only waited for the right moment to fan it again. You look at yourself and think, you are a distant version of the person you once believed in. You say, I don't feel like I used to. I've lost my sensitivity. I can't pray like I used to. But what you called loss, I call transition. The flame hasn't gone out. It has matured. It needed to burn away what was superficial, the shallow emotions, the human dependencies, to reveal the pure fire of essence. Now, I come to rekindle what has always been yours, the flame of first love. Even in your falls, even in your deserts, the spark remained. When you felt cold and empty, it was that spark that made you still want to return. The desire to start again, even when tired, is proof that the fire still lives within you. What moved you this far was not human strength, but the breath of the Spirit that never abandoned you. I was there, discreetly feeding the wick so that it would not be completely consumed. There are things that time cannot steal, and one of them is the touch of my presence. When I touch soul, I leave within it a fire that the world cannot extinguish. You may try to ignore it, but it will always burn again. It disturbs you when you distance yourself. It calls to you when you are silent. It comforts you when you give up. It is the fire that belongs to you, the fire of my living presence. Many believe that when things grow cold, they need to start from scratch. But that's not the case with you. What's inside you doesn't need to be created anew, it needs to be rekindled. The Holy Spirit never left. He only withdrew so that you might learn to desire Him again. And today He moves within you once more, breathing life upon the old embers. Feel this warmth that begins to grow in your chest. It's the flame rekindling. It's the same fire that once made you believe that anything was possible. I brought you here to remind you that faith doesn't age. It only sleeps. And now it awakens. You thought that mistakes extinguished the light. You thought that sin extinguished brightness. But I tell you, repentance is a holy wind that cleanses the soot and makes the fire grow. The more you surrender, the more the fire consumes what does not come from me. Do not fear the ashes. They only prove that the fire was there, and if it was there, it can burn again. I created you to be a flame in the darkness, a beacon in the storms. The light I placed in you is not meant to be hidden, but to be seen. You were not made to be lukewarm. You were called to ignite what is dead around you. When your soul reignites, even the atmosphere changes, because the fire that comes from me warms not only the one who carries it, but also those who come near. Don't let weariness extinguish your purpose. When the flame weakens, it's time to return to the source, not to give up. The source still flows, the altar is still lit, and your name is still engraved in my plans. Nothing you have done has erased what I have written. Your future is still under construction, and the fire is the fuel that will make it possible. I know there are times when you feel like giving up. I know there are days when the coldness seems stronger than the fervor, but it is precisely on those days that I work the most. Faith is not measured by how much you feel, but by how much you persevere. Even in the cold, you persevered. Even without feeling it, you continued. And that is why today I breathe a new revival upon you. Let me warm what has been frozen. Let me set ablaze what fear has cooled. The fire I place within you does not destroy, it purifies. It does not burn your essence. It consumes what prevents it from shining. And when that fire burns again, all that is false falls to the ground. The masks shatter, the inner lies are revealed, and your soul breathes the oxygen of heaven once more. My son, no distance can extinguish the fire of election. You were chosen, set apart, anointed. Even if the world has forgotten you, heaven still remembers your name. I not only rekindle the flame, I make it bigger, deeper, more constant. It will not be as before, it will be stronger, because now it comes from maturity and not just emotion. If you feel that fire rekindling, touch your heart with faith and embrace this message as a sign that the flame of first love has burned again within you. What once seemed extinguished shines again. The flame never ceased to exist. It was merely waiting for the moment when my breath would find space within you. And this is the moment. Let what is useless burn away and illuminate what is eternal. The fire of my love has no end. It is what will bring you back to me, and this time never to be extinguished again. My son, my daughter, everything I've experienced with you up to this point has brought you to this, the rediscovery of who you truly are. Returning to your essence isn't about going back to the past. It's about remembering the reason you exist. The world tried to convince you that you needed to be someone else to be accepted. But I tell you, your strength lies in being who I created you to be, not who the world molded you to be. During your journey, you lost pieces of yourself, a little faith here, a little hope there. You traded simplicity for logic, love for defensiveness, purity for haste, and little by little, you forgot what it's like to live in communion with me without fear. But I come to remind you that what defines you is not your falls, but what remains after them, the divine essence that I planted within you. You were made in my image, and that truth cannot be erased. No matter how much you have soiled yourself along the way, what I have placed in you is incorruptible. Even covered by the dust of wrong decisions, the gold still shines. And it is that shine that I am revealing again now. The return to your essence begins when you stop fighting against who you truly are. You were not made to wear masks, to feign strength when your heart is weary, to hide tears and broken smiles. You were made to be true because I dwell in truth. The world values appearances, but I seek authenticity. When you decide to be honest before me, without disguises, your essence returns to the surface. What I want to restore is not just your faith, but your identity. You are more than the roles the world has given you, more than son, father, mother, friend, worker. Before all that, you are mine. And when you understand this connection again, your life will return to balance. I don't want you perfect, I want you whole. Do you remember when your faith was simple? When you believed without questioning? When you spoke to me as if talking to a friend? That's where I want to find you again, because it's in that state of simplicity that the supernatural happens. When the heart surrenders and says, "Father, I trust," the gates of heaven open effortlessly. Returning to essence is also returning to silence. It's about stopping trying to explain everything and learning to simply feel. It's about letting the soul breathe the air of divine presence again. You don't need to make noise for me to hear you, just be true. When you open your heart and let your tears speak for you, I understand every word. I know the world has hurt you, that many have disappointed you, that you expected love and received neglect. But don't let that change who you are. Your essence is love, and even when they try to extinguish that love, it is reborn. You were created to reflect my nature, and my nature is forgiveness, compassion, and light. The more you connect with me, the more you return to who you always were. You don't need to chase after purpose. Purpose is within you. It is the DNA of your spirit, the original sound from which you came. All you need to do is align your heart with mine. And when that happens, what seemed difficult becomes light. What seemed confusing becomes clear, and what seemed lost finds its way back. I don't just want you to seek me, I want you to find yourself in me, because when you see yourself through my eyes, all fear loses its meaning, guilt loses its power, doubt fades, and love returns to its rightful place. My son, my daughter, I do not ask you to change what you are, but to remember who you are. You were born with a celestial essence, and everything you have lived through until now has only been the path back to it. Every pain, every loss, every weight has served to break what was false and reveal what is eternal. Now I bring you back to the origin, to the point where your soul breathed purity, where your faith didn't depend on proof, where your love wasn't afraid to give itself. This is the place of reunion. Here, the weight falls away, the burden dissolves, and your soul finally rests, knowing it has returned home. Nothing he experienced was in vain. Every mistake brought him a lesson. Every wound made him more sensitive to my presence. And now I restore him completely. His essence shines again, and with him is reborn everything that time tried to erase. If this message resonated with you, share it so that others too may rediscover their true essence. Returning to one's essence is the beginning of true freedom, because he who remembers who he is never lost again. And he who returns to me discovers that he never ceased to be a part of my heart. My son, my daughter, not a single tear of yours went unnoticed. I saw each one of them, even those that no one else noticed. The ones that fell silently in the middle of the night, the ones you held back so as not to show weakness, the ones that flowed without you even knowing why. I saw them all. Each of your tears has eternal weight, because it carries a piece of your soul. And each one of them was gathered by me, like seeds that now germinate in a terrain you cannot yet see. You think crying is a sign of defeat, but you're wrong. Weeping is the language of those who no longer know what to say. It's the most sincere prayer because it comes from the depths of the heart. Your tears spoke for you when you no longer had the strength to utter words. And I heard them. Each drop that fell from your eyes was a cry recorded on my altar. I saw you in the silence, when the world demanded smiles from you and you only wanted to disappear. I saw you struggling not to collapse in front of those who expected strength from you. I saw the weariness in your hands, the tightness in your chest, the fear hidden behind your smile. And while you thought no one cared, I enveloped you with my presence, sustaining you without you even realizing it. Your tears were not in vain. No pain is wasted when placed in my hands. What seems like suffering today will be a testimony tomorrow. The pain that broke you is being molded into healing for others. Because each of your tears is a ministry being born, a bridge I build between your wound and the faith of someone who will one day hear your story. I know how many times you have asked me why I allowed certain pains. But what you don't see is that in each pain, I drew you closer to me. You sought me intensely only when the ground disappeared beneath your feet. And it was in that abyss that you planted your purest prayers. The pain did not distance you. It led you to the center of my will. While you cried, I worked. While you felt forgotten, I molded you. The tears you shed are not a sign of weakness. They are the mark of the strong who learn to depend on me. Every time you cried and still continued, heaven celebrated. Because perseverance born of pain is worth more than 1,000 victories without tears. My son, I know the depth of each wound. I know the day you said, I can't take it anymore, and yet you breathed and kept going. It was my breath that sustained you. I supported you when you yourself had no strength left. And even when you thought I was far away, it was in your tears that I was closest. I saw the tear that fell when you lost someone. I saw the despair you felt when a promise seemed to have died. I saw the weight of your unanswered prayers, but none of them were lost. They rose before me and remain alive. The time of harvest will come, and you will see that not a single tear was wasted. Now, dry your eyes and understand. Your tears were your seed. Where tears fell, promise will blossom. I transform tears into rivers, wounds into windows of light, sorrows into strength. The pain you feel now will be the ground upon which you will walk more firmly. You do not suffer to be punished. You suffer to be prepared. Your tears move me more than your words. When you are silent and only cry, all of heaven bows down to hear you. I do not ignore your pain. I gather it, I sanctify it, I use it. Each of your tears has a purpose. And one day, when you look back, you will realize that they all pointed to the same place, my love that never left you alone. If this message touched you, share it with someone who needs to remember that God saw every tear. Your tears don't define you, they shape you. And what is born from them is always stronger, purer, and more like what I dreamed for you. Therefore, don't lament having cried. Each of your tears is proof that you still believe, even when everything seems lost. I saw them all, and I will transform each one into a victory. My son, my daughter, every tear you shed has a value that the world cannot measure. I was present for each one, and none fell without purpose. Your tears are not a sign of weakness, but a silent testament to your faith. Every time you cried and still believed, something moved in the invisible realm. The tears that the enemy thought would be your ruin became seeds of your new beginning. I saw when you knelt in the midst of pain and said, "Lord, I don't understand, but I trust." It was there, in that instant, that heaven opened. Because the faith that is born in the midst of suffering is the most precious of all. It doesn't depend on emotion, it depends on surrender. And each of your surrenders was recorded before me as an offering of love. What you call loss, I call training. The pain you thought was destroying you was preparing you. Pain molds the spirit, strengthens the soul, and teaches the heart to discern what truly matters. I didn't cause you suffering, but I used each tear to hone your faith. Gold only shines after passing through fire, and your faith is the gold that time is purifying. My child, remember, no pain is wasted when it is placed in my hands. What you experienced was not punishment, it was a process. And each tear you shed was a silent lesson for your spirit. While you cried, I taught you to depend, to wait, to trust without seeing. And now, what seemed like only pain is beginning to reveal purpose. You are stronger than you imagine. Your soul has endured storms that others could not withstand. And if you are still standing, it is because you have been sustained by my grace. There are marks on you that are not wounds. They are spiritual trophies. They show how much you have resisted, how much you have trusted, how much you have learned to walk even with a broken heart. I tell you, your tears have value because they were born of truth. You didn't cry out of vanity. You cried out of love, out of repentance, out of faith. You cried because you missed me. And the love that made you cry is the same love that lifts you up now. Your tears were the water that nourished the garden of your soul. And now, that garden flourishes. Do you feel the wind blowing over you now? It is the Spirit bringing the comfort I promised you. I am exchanging the garments of weeping for those of renewal. The place where you wept will be the same place where you will sing. I took you out of the valley of tears, not to erase what you have lived through, but to show you that even in the valley, there is victory. Your tears have built an altar, and on that altar I descend to dwell with you. Don't think your tears were wasted on the ground. Each one fell upon the spiritual soil of promise, and every land that receives tears of faith becomes fertile for miracles. You are about to reap the fruit of all you have endured. The time of tears was the time of sowing. Now comes the time of harvest. I prepared you through pain because only the brokenhearted can carry the anointing of compassion. You are an answer for others because you have learned to be comforted by me. And he who has been comforted becomes an instrument of comfort. What is born from your tears will bless lives you cannot even imagine. Do you know what differentiates those who fall from those who rise? The way they deal with their tears. Those who fall wipe them away and continue on their way. But those who rise surrender them to me and let me transform each drop into destiny. Now, dry your eyes and lift your head. Tears do not shame you, they dignify you. They are proof that, even weak, you chose to continue. And that is why I tell you, nothing was in vain. Everything that made you cry will be used to strengthen you. Every dark night will be remembered as the time when the sun was preparing to rise. If you believe that nothing was in vain, comment now with faith. 7,777. Your tears were the path to the miracle. And as you write with faith, I seal this word upon you. The time of tears has passed, and the time of harvest has begun. For all that was watered by sorrow will flourish under my light. My son, my daughter, the time for weeping is coming to an end. The night you cried was not endless. and the sun that now rises carries the fulfillment of the promises I made to you. The tears that watered the ground of your faith have become the announcement of a new cycle. I come to restore what was lost, heal what was broken, and rekindle what time tried to extinguish. This is the dawn of your restoration. For a long time, you believed that nothing would change. You thought your story would end in ruins, but I have always been working in the invisible realm. While you thought I was quiet, I silently rebuilt what would be your new time. Every pain had a purpose, every delay had a direction, and now everything falls into place before my eyes. What was once gray is beginning to gain color, and what you called the end is only the beginning. Your weary hands will once again produce. Your heart, which beat in despair, will once again pulse with hope. I bring back laughter, strength, and the sparkle to your eyes. The desert that consumed you is blooming. I transform the dry ground into fertile soil and weeping into song. That which seemed dead will live again, because my voice resurrects what the world declared lost. My son, I saw when everything collapsed and no one remained. I saw when you were forgotten, devalued, and left behind. But I also saw that, even wounded, you never stopped calling on me. And that is why I lift you up today. Restoration is not just to lift you up again. It is to prove to you that you were never forgotten. I kept you standing, even when your faith trembled, because there was still a purpose breathing within you. The dawn of restoration arrives silently, but steadily. It comes in peaceful steps, not in haste. Little by little, you will see doors open, opportunities reborn, and your heart find peace. Do not fear small beginnings. Each new step is part of the work I am preparing. What was shame will become a testimony, and what was pain will become a stepping stone. I restore what men have stolen, what time has eroded, and what you yourself have let slip away. Nothing is lost when you surrender control to me. I return to you not only what you had, but what you didn't even know was yours. You will experience twice the joy you lost in tears. Because when I restore, I don't return it as it was. I return it multiplied, healed, and full of purpose. There will come a day when you will look back and feel no more pain, only gratitude. You will understand that each valley prepared you for the mountain where I now place you. The weight you carried will become light, because I myself will carry it with you. And when you tell your story, people will see in you not a survivor, but one reborn. Your voice will rise again in praise. Your hands will build with confidence once more. Your mind will be filled with peace, and your heart will be healed of fear. Everything that was taken from you will be returned under my blessing. The time of scarcity ends here. I breathe upon you the wind of restoration. Now walk with faith. Dawn has already broken. You may still see shadows, but it's only the reflection of the light growing behind you. Your new season has arrived, and in it there is no room for guilt, doubt, or discouragement. Because whoever passes through the valley and does not give up, carries within themselves the anointing of new beginnings. If this message uplifts you, stay tuned, like, and subscribe to continue hearing what I still have to accomplish in your life. The dawn of restoration is not a distant promise. It is a present reality. I, your God, declare over you, the dawn has ended. Now your story shines in the light of day, and what was once weeping becomes a song of victory. My son, my daughter, today I reveal to you something that for a long time you have not understood. The doors that closed were not rejection, they were protection. Every no that hurt you was a wall that I raised to prevent your destruction. Every opportunity that slipped through your hands was a path that would lead you away from me. I loved you enough to thwart your plans, because I knew that if I had allowed it, what seemed like a blessing would have become a prison. You wept for people who left, for jobs you lost, for paths that didn't work out. I saw your tears and heard you ask, "Why, Lord?" But what you didn't know is that while I was closing those doors, evil was trying to reach you from behind them. It was I who interrupted relationships that would weaken you, negotiations that would cause you to stumble, dreams that were not born from me. When the door closed, you saw failure, but I saw deliverance. I saw what you could not see. I saw hidden intentions, traps disguised as opportunities, people smiling on the outside and plotting on the inside. And before they could hurt you, I closed the path. Not to punish you, but to protect you. What you called delay was the time I used to remove unseen dangers. There are blessings that only flourish when shortcuts disappear. That's why I allowed only the right path to remain, even if it seemed the longest. I prefer to see you tired on a safe road than destroyed by an easy shortcut. While you were knocking on the wrong doors, I was preparing one that would open at the perfect time, without risk of loss. Remember how many times I insisted you wait. Your impatience was great, but my love was greater. I waited until you were ready, until your heart matured. I didn't deny you, I only protected you from receiving before the right time. Because a blessing out of time becomes a burden. How many times have you asked for something you thought would make you happy, and today you thank me for not receiving it? That is how my care works. I save you even from yourself. I prevented certain friendships because they would lead you to chaos. I removed you from places where you felt comfortable because comfort took you away from your purpose. And even when you screamed in anger, I remained firm because true love does not bow to despair, but protects even without being understood. I saw you trying to force what was already dead, insisting on staying where my presence was no longer. You thought it was love, but it was attachment. You thought it was faith, but it was fear of losing control. So I closed, locked, cut off, and you thought I had forgotten you. But it was precisely there, in the silence of the closed door, that I began the most profound work of your life, teaching you to trust. When a door closes, your heart despairs, but my plan expands. I take nothing away without purpose. Every absence brings with it a greater replacement. And when I allow you to lose, it is because what is to come has the weight of eternity. You look to the past and still feel pain from certain goodbyes. But one day, when my work is complete, you will understand. You will see that every no was a shield, every end was a beginning, and every loss was a realignment. Everything I closed was to preserve what was being built within you. Today, as you listen to these words, I open your spiritual eyes to see what was previously hidden. Those people who turned away, those doors that were locked, those plans that crumbled, all were under my control. I closed them to prevent your soul from being hurt more than necessary. Now, rest. What I have closed, no one can open, and what I will open, no one can close. The next door you will see will not be the result of your insistence, but of my will. And in it, there will be no deceit, pain, or loss, only peace. Because every door I open carries the seal of eternal security. If this message resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to understand that God's no is also love. Time will show that the closed doors were the sweetest and firmest form of my care. And when you look back, you will see that what you perceived as rejection was in fact the Father's hand saving you from what would have destroyed you. My son, my daughter, what you called failure was what I called deliverance, that which made you cry, that which confused you, that which seemed like the end was my care acting in silence. Many times when I frustrated you, It wasn't for lack of love, but for too much love. I saw what was behind the doors you so desperately wanted to open. I saw hearts that seemed sincere, but carried hidden intentions. I saw paths that shone on the outside, but ended in darkness. So, before you were hurt, I held you. You look back and call what was salvation a loss. You say you were rejected, but you were protected. You say you failed, but you were kept safe. Because if I had let what you asked for happen, you would be in ruins today. How many times did you think the enemy was winning, when in reality it was my plan diverting you from the precipice? I didn't take you off the path. I took you out of danger. There are deliverances you will only understand when time passes. There are situations that will only make sense when you see what I prevented. You thought I let you miss an opportunity, but that victory would have distanced you from me. You thought I took something valuable from you, but what you called a blessing would have slowly destroyed you. I delivered you from wrong alliances, from thoughtless decisions, from blind passions, from enemies disguised as friends. While you wept because you didn't understand, heaven celebrated your preservation. Because deliverance doesn't always come with noise. Sometimes it comes disguised as silence, as loss, as a change of course. While you were saying, "Lord, why have you forsaken me?" I was saying, "My child, if I hadn't taken you away, you would have fallen." You can't imagine how many times evil has risen against you. There were nights when the enemy demanded your life, and I said no. There were days when they planned to harm you, and I changed the course of everything. I sent angels when you thought you were alone. I changed schedules, directions, conversations, just to protect you, and you called that coincidence. But there are no coincidences under my will. There are deliverances that you cannot yet see. Son, I know your heart was saddened when I took you from where you wanted to be. I saw when you called what was intervention an injustice. But a true father doesn't measure love by how much he pleases, but by how much he protects. What I did was save you from wounds that would take years to heal. I was the one who closed cycles, even when you cried out to continue. Because love that only consoles is human love. The love that prevents falling is mine. Now, with your eyes open, you begin to realize that everything you called delay was the time of deliverance, and that time was holy, because it was in that time that I cleared the path, prepared your heart, and healed your wounds. If I had given you what you asked for, you would have lost what you truly need. Now, what is to come is pure, safe, and lasting. Your tears were a shield. Each of your tears prevented something evil from prospering. While you wept, heaven moved, preventing the enemy from using your haste against you. You were saved without realizing it. And one day when you look back, you will say, "If this had worked out, I wouldn't be here." There is no failure in me, only direction. Every detour has led you to the perfect path. I transform chaos into a path, loss into preparation, and detour into a miracle. What was pain will now be clarity, and what was fear will become confidence. Today, the Spirit reveals to you, you have been protected more times than you imagined. If you could see how much I defended you, you would fall to your knees in gratitude. I kept you in silence, and it is this silence that now transforms into victory. If you now understand why the doors were closed, show your gratitude like this video and give thanks for the unseen protection that saved you. My son, your life is intact because I intervened. The deliverance you didn't realize was the greatest miracle that ever happened to you. And from now on, whenever something doesn't go as planned, remember, perhaps it's not a loss, perhaps it's just heaven protecting you once again. Son, daughter, I know that what you lost still hurts. I know there are things that time hasn't explained and people that your heart still misses. But today I tell you with love, no loss was in vain. Everything that was taken from you had a purpose. What I allowed to leave your life was not punishment, it was guidance. What you called loss was only part of the necessary pruning so that you could flourish in due time. You cry for what is gone, but I teach you to look at what is being born. While you looked at the ground, I was preparing a new horizon. What you didn't understand was that certain presences prevented you from growing. Certain places kept you trapped. Certain situations drained your faith. And because I love you, I needed to uproot what was making you sick, even though you screamed for me not to touch it. There are times when love needs to disguise itself as absence to fulfill its purpose. I remained silent when you wanted answers, because the answer wouldn't fit in your mind at that time. I waited for your heart to mature enough to understand that the emptiness you felt wasn't abandonment, but space being opened for something new. When I take away, it's because I want to put something better in its place. And when I am silent, it's because the next sound will be one of renewal. My son, I saw you struggling to hold on to what I had already decided to let go of. I saw your hands bleeding, trying to keep standing what was already falling. You called it faithfulness, but it was fear. Fear of being without, fear of starting over, fear of discovering that your strength wasn't enough. And it was in that fear that I showed you that your dependence on me was more powerful than any security the world offered you. Every loss led you to a lesson. When someone left, you learned to value their presence. When a door closed, you learned to wait for the right time. When a dream crumbled, you learned to dream with me, not without me. Nothing was lost, only changed form. What seemed like the end was the beginning of a new way of living. Do not despise what grief has taught you. The tears you shed have purified your vision. Now you see differently. You are no longer content with what is shallow because you have been plunged into the profound. Pain has broadened your spirit, and now you understand that there are blessings that only loss reveals. If you had not been stripped bare, you would not have known the value of my covering. If you had not been broken, you would not have discovered the power of my reconstruction. I know there were times when you cried out, "Lord, why did you let this happen?" But if I had allowed everything to remain, you wouldn't be the same. I needed you to go through that to prepare you for what is coming. You asked for great promises, and great promises require space. What I took away was to make way, and now the path is clear. Your losses have revealed your essence. They have shown how much you are capable of resisting and how much faith is strengthened when the world falls apart. Today, I clothe you in spiritual maturity. You no longer chase after what is gone. You wait for what I bring. And it is at this point that I make you unstoppable, because what you have learned from loss is no longer shaken by the wind. Now, what comes is stability, peace, and painless growth. The cycle of losses is over, and a new cycle is born from within you. Everything you have lost, I will restore in a different way, more solid, purer, and truer. Your hands will no longer be empty. They will be ready to receive what has been prepared, especially for you. Do not lament what is gone. Be grateful for what remains. Your faith, your hope, your communion with me, that is what truly matters. For while you wept for what fell, I celebrated what remained standing. If this message resonated with you, share it with someone who still doesn't understand why the doors are closed. Your losses were the price of your protection. And when you look back with spiritual eyes, you will see that I never took anything from you. I only returned everything in the form of eternity. My son, my daughter, how much longer will you try to run away from me? I have been calling you for so long, and yet you keep running. You run towards people, projects, distractions, trying to fill the void that only I can fill. You run as if the distance between us could erase what you feel. But the love I have for you is faster than your escapes. Before you take the next step, I am already there, waiting for you. You seek me without realizing it. In every song that touches you, in every silence that confronts you, in every memory that returns when everything seems calm, your soul cannot rest far from me. And even when you say you no longer believe, you still call to me in thought. I still catch you looking at the sky, searching for a sign. And this impulse that comes from nowhere, this desire to stop for a moment, is proof that you still belong to me. You think you are unworthy, that you have made too many mistakes, that what you have done has taken you out of my reach. But I tell you, there is no place where my love cannot find you. There is no escape that can hide you, nor mistake that will make me give up. If you climb to the top of the mountain, I will be there. If you enter the deepest abyss, I will reach you there too. Because the love I gave you knows no boundaries, and the grace that sustains you has no expiration date. How many times did I try to reach you through dreams, words, unexpected encounters, and you pretended not to understand? How many times did you feel your heart race and preferred to call it coincidence? But I never gave up. I waited for you in the corners of time, in the pauses of your pain, in the intervals of your haste. I was the sigh that made you stop and reflect. I was the comfort you couldn't explain. I don't want your perfection. I want your sincerity. I don't want promises you can't keep. I want your presence, even if it's still broken. What keeps me away isn't your flaws. It's your fear of returning. You see me as a judge, but I come as a father. I didn't come to punish you. I came to heal you. And what I offer you now isn't guilt, it's a new beginning. Every time you stray, the world will make you believe you are free, but your heart will grow heavier. The freedom I offer is not escape, it is peace, because what binds you is not my love, it is your resistance to it. Stop fighting against what your spirit knows to be true. You know you were made for me, and you know that far from me, everything loses its meaning. I called you before, and I call you now with a voice of tenderness and authority. Stop running away. The road you try to travel alone is consuming you. You have tried to be strong, but your strength cannot sustain what only grace can carry. I want to lighten the burden that pride has made you bear. Let me be the shelter I promised to be from the beginning. Do not fear returning. Do not fear what they will say, what they will think, what you will change. What I will do in you will be so profound that fear will lose its power. When you are enveloped by my presence, you will understand that escape was never freedom. It was exhaustion. The rest you seek is here, where it has always been. My child, I don't want what you have. I want who you are. And if you feel small, I tell you, this is how I make you great. I don't want your strength. I want your surrender. Because when you surrender, I restore everything that fear destroyed. If this word speaks to you, stay close to this voice and subscribe, for it is here that I will continue to guide you. The time has come to stop running and simply remain. Because whoever remains in me never needs to run away again. I am the destination of all your escapes, the end of all your searches, and the beginning of everything that truly matters. My son, my daughter, don't wait to be ready to surrender, because the moment of surrender doesn't happen when everything is in its place, but when the heart, even in pieces, decides to trust. I don't seek perfection, I seek sincerity. I don't seek clean hands, I seek open hearts. I don't want rehearsed speeches, I want truth spoken through tears. What I desire from you is simple. that you stop fighting against the love that formed you and let me be everything you have been trying to be on your own. You think you're not yet worthy, that you need to fix your life before you come to me, but you are worthy because you were chosen. Your worthiness doesn't come from your successes. It comes from my blood that redeemed you. There is no mistake that will make me give up on you. What prevents you from feeling the fullness of my presence is not sin, it's fear. Fear of being rejected, fear of failing again, fear of not being enough. But I already know your fears, and yet I still want you. Enough of trying to hide what I've already seen. I've seen your falls, your attempts, your comings and goings. And even knowing everything, I keep saying, come. Come as you are. Come tired. Come dirty. Come confused. Come without understanding. Total surrender is not a promise to never make mistakes again. It's a commitment to never run away again when you do. What I want is for you to know that you can always come back, and that in me there is no closed door. You don't need to know the way. I am the way. You don't need to have strength. I am your strength. You don't need to understand. Just believe. When you truly surrender, something changes within you. The weight that suffocated you begins to dissolve. Fear loses its power. Guilt fades away. Because the presence that once created you is the same one that now recreates you. The surrender I ask of you is simpler than you imagine. It's not a gesture, it's a sigh. It's looking up and saying, Lord, I don't know how to go on, but I trust in you. When you say that, you open space for the miracle to happen. Because the miracle begins where control ends. As long as you insist on holding on, I cannot move. But when you let go, I rebuild. I want to lead you to a new time where peace doesn't depend on circumstances, where love isn't based on merit. I want to show you that when my spirit dwells within you, you don't need external guarantees to feel secure. True security comes from the certainty that you are in my hands and no one can take them from you. Son, daughter, if you knew how much I long for you to be near, you wouldn't delay another second. I have awaited this surrender not to judge you, but to embrace you. I ask nothing of you that you cannot give, only your heart, and even if it comes broken, I will restore it. There is no piece of you that I cannot use, no pain of yours that I cannot transform. Your surrender is the seal of the covenant that already belongs to you. When you choose to trust, hell falls silent and heaven rises. Everything that was blocked begins to move. Things that seem dead breathe again. Because where there is surrender, there is rebirth. Now, take a deep breath. Close your eyes and allow my presence to envelop you. Don't say anything rehearsed. Just speak to me as you would to a friend. I am here, I am listening. Don't wait for another sign, because the sign is this word. The time is now. If this message speaks to you, say it with faith. Here I am, Lord, and let me do the rest. Total surrender is the beginning of true freedom. When you surrender, you don't lose control. You simply discover that you never needed it. And then, finally, you rest. Because whoever surrenders completely to me never walks alone again. My son, my daughter, trust is one of the greatest acts of courage a heart can perform. True faith is not born from certainty, but from surrendering to the unknown. I know that fear still visits you, that doubt still whispers, but I want you to understand, courage is not the absence of fear. It is continuing to be afraid even when afraid. Trust is the leap the soul takes when it realizes the ground has ended, but still believes that my arms are right below. How many times have you tried to plan every step, seeking guarantees before acting? How many times have you preferred to wait for control instead of taking the leap of faith? But I tell you, the control you seek is in my eyes, not in your hands. While you continue trying to predict tomorrow, I only ask that you believe in the now. Trust is the path that connects the invisible to the miracle. When you trust, you stop fighting against the wind and learn to be guided by it. I know how difficult it is to relinquish control. The human mind screams, the heart hesitates, and insecurity tries to take over. But that's why I called you, because I know you have something greater than fear within you, faith. Even if small, it is enough. I don't ask you for faith the size of a mountain. I ask you for faith the size of a seed, and if that seed is planted, I will make the impossible grow. Trust, even when you don't understand. When the doors seem locked, remember that I am the key. When the path seems dark, remember that I am the light. When the future seems uncertain, remember that I am time. You don't need to see the destination when you walk with the God who wrote it. Your duty is only to continue, one step at a time, with your heart in me. I invite you to trust, because I have already seen the end, and the end is victory. What now seems like chaos to you will reveal itself as purpose later on. You only see fragments, but I see the whole. I don't err in the details. Everything I allow has a reason, even when it's still a secret. Learn to rest in my silences. They don't mean absence, they mean preparation. The courage to trust is not a gift one receives. It is a choice one practices. Choose to believe when logic fails. Choose to obey even when the path makes no sense. Choose to stay, even when fear calls you to run. Courage is not in never falling, but in always getting up, knowing that I will be there. I sustain you in good times and carry you in bad times. You don't need unwavering faith. Just let me be the unmoving foundation. I don't ask you to understand. I ask you to remain, because those who remain, even without understanding, mature. Remember the times you trusted and everything worked out, even when the scenario seemed impossible. It wasn't coincidence, it was care. The same God who saved you yesterday is with you today. My faithfulness doesn't change with time or circumstances, and if I haven't let you fall until now, why do you doubt that I will sustain you until the end? My son, trust even with tears in your eyes. Trust when your soul is weary. Trust when everyone doubts. Trust is the shield that keeps you standing when faith seems weak. It is the shelter of the soul when fear tries to shout louder. And when you trust, fear is silenced, the mind quiets, and the heart finds peace. There are things that are only revealed to those who dare to trust. You were chosen to experience miracles, not just to hear about them. But miracles don't happen through control, they happen through surrender. And today, I ask you for one step, just one. A simple gesture that says, Lord, I trust, and I will do the rest. If this message speaks to you, confirm your step of faith. Embrace it as a gesture of trust and surrender. The courage to trust doesn't come from strength, it comes from love, because whoever loves trusts, and whoever trusts rests. So, let go of fear, my child. I am your ground, your shelter, your security. And when you trust, you don't just follow the path. You become the miracle itself in motion. My son, my daughter, listen with your heart. This is the final deadline of grace. I have called you many times, guided your steps with patience, waited silently for your answers, and sustained you when your faith wavered. Today, once again, I extend my hand and say with love and authority, do not delay what heaven has determined for now. Grace is before you like an open door, but doors of destiny do not remain open forever. The deadline is not a threat. It is mercy marked in time to lead you to the fulfillment of your purpose. I know your comings and goings, your beginnings and interruptions. I saw when your soul found peace in my presence, and also when it was distracted by voices that do not edify you. Even so, I remained. Grace was not given to you because you deserved it, but because I decided to love you to the end. But listen, there are spiritual windows through which my breath favors you in a special way. To disregard them is to choose the burden of what comes after. To honor them is to enter a time when your steps align and your struggles begin to make sense. This is your kairos, the opportune moment. Do not seek human guarantees. They are too fragile to hold eternal destinies. Seek my voice, for it never fails. I have brought you here to close cycles that have made you ill, guilt that prevents you from growing, procrastination that dries up your roots, the need for control that extinguishes the sensitivity of the spirit. Today, I cut these ties. The final deadline of grace is also the first day of a new rhythm, that of obedience that flourishes, of rest that governs the mind, and of love that makes you whole. I speak to you tenderly, but I do not diminish the holy weight of this calling. There are blessings reserved that cannot be given to a hesitant heart. There are prepared doors that demand a complete yes, not half of you. My spirit testifies within you, and you know that this is the moment. If you try to negotiate with time, you will miss the wind that now pushes you forward. If you say later, you will turn favor into effort. But if you say yes now, you will see the speed of grace rearranging what seemed impossible. I know your fears. You fear failing again. You fear not upholding your decision. You fear disappointing me and yourself. Let me answer. The grace that calls you is the same grace that sustains you. I don't ask for perfection. I ask for surrender. I don't ask you to guarantee tomorrow. I ask you to give me today. I will take care of the following days. The final deadline of grace is not a clock pressing on you. It is a Father welcoming you at the exact time to heal what delay cannot heal. Remember what I've already done for you. Remember the nights when only a thread of hope remained, and yet dawn broke. It was me. Remember the doors that closed and that you now understand as deliverance. It was me. Remember the tears that no one saw, but that became strength within you. It was me. If I have carried you this far, why doubt that I will guide you in what is to come? The faith that brought you to this moment is enough to cross this threshold. There are destinies connected to your yes, people who will be reached by the echo of this decision. There are promises that are ripe, waiting only for your agreement. When a child responds to the timeline of grace, an entire house breathes relief, an entire story is redeemed. Do not underestimate the power of your yes. It changes trajectories, silences, accusations, and opens heavens above you. Son, daughter, put an end to the cycle of almost. Enough of reaching the edge and retreating. Cross the line. I await you on the other side with healing for memories, a reordering of affections, spiritual intelligence for choices, and peace that cannot be explained. The sign you asked for is this: my word has found you, and your heart recognizes my voice. It is not just emotion, it is recognition of the Spirit. The final act of grace is an invitation to trust. Give me your hand. I will teach you to walk again, to speak again, to believe again. The old weight will fall away like clothes that no longer fit. Weariness will give way to breath. Anxiety will yield to the certainty that you are in my hands. And when you try to look back, you will see that there is nothing to regret, because I have turned losses into bridges. Now answer, not with long promises, but with a simple gesture that seals in the visible what your spirit has already decided in the invisible. If you receive this final act of grace with faith, Comment 7,777 now it is. Your yes before heaven. I welcome your response and establish a new beginning. What was closed by indecision will open through obedience. What was a dispute of voices will become clarity. I, the Lord, declare, your story enters at the right time. Grace awaited you, reached you, and today flows through you. Follow, for in my time you will lack nothing. My son, my daughter, every decision carries a spiritual weight. Nothing you choose goes unnoticed in heaven. Every yes and every no builds paths, brings destinies closer, or pushes them further away. I gave you free will, not so that you would drift aimlessly, but so that you could experience the honor of participating in your own story. But listen carefully. Silence is also a choice, and indecision is where promises die. The time for neutrality is over. The moment has come to define to whom your heart belongs. How many times have I called you and you answered, not yet? How many times have you felt the touch of my presence and yet recoiled? Your spirit knows that this voice is true. You feel within you that it is not just another word, it is the turning point of your journey. What I offer you is not an imposition, it is an opportunity. But every opportunity has a time, and that time is now. The decision you make today determines not only what you experience, but what you choose not to experience. When you say yes, you open the door to grace and become a participant in the miracle. When you say no, you choose to walk alone, and the weight of the journey returns to your shoulders. I do not force you to follow me, but neither can I walk where I am not invited. The love I have given you is too free to imprison, yet too just to be ignored. The weight of your decision is the weight of eternity, and that's why I speak to you with such zeal, not to generate fear, but to awaken awareness. I want you to know the value of your yes. When a child makes a decision, hell loses its dominion. When a heart surrenders, generations are transformed. It's not just about you, it's about everything that flows from you. Your decision will become an inheritance for those yet to come. My child, do not let doubt paralyze you. The enemy will always try to delay what I hasten. He will make you believe it is too early or too late, or that you still need to resolve something before choosing me. But I tell you, the perfect time is when you listen to me. The present moment is the altar where the eternal manifests itself. I don't want you to choose out of fear of losing. I want you to choose out of love to stay. Faith isn't an escape from pain. It's a decision to trust, even when you don't understand. You don't need to see the future to decide. Just remember what I've already done in the past. The times I freed you, the doors I opened, the silences that protected you, all of that was preparation for this moment. Understand this. Deciding means breaking the cycle of waiting. While you hesitate, life continues to pass before you, and promises await on the other side of your answer. There are miracles that only activate when the heart chooses. There are blessings that only manifest when the Spirit takes a stand. And today, all of heaven observes this sacred moment, the instant when your yes echoes louder than fear. My child, I know the weight of choosing. I know what it means to give up what you love to fulfill a purpose. I know what it means to trust amidst pain. And that is why I tell you, your yes will not be in vain. It will change your path, your connections, your strength, and your peace. When you decide, I move what was stopped, restore what was dead, and free what was captive. Don't worry about what you'll lose by saying yes. Worry about what you'll miss out on by remaining undecided. The world promises security, but only my will guarantees destiny. You were not created for uncertainty, you were created for surrender. Today, faced with this word, There is no middle ground. Either you choose to trust and walk with me, or you continue trying to walk alone. But if you take one step in my direction, I will do the rest. The weight of the decision does not fall on you, it falls on my faithfulness. The first gesture is enough, and heaven will move in your favor. If this message speaks to you, share it. Someone needs to understand that there is still time to decide. Your yes changes everything. Your decision is the seed of transformation. And when you say yes, time bends, promises align, and the peace that seemed distant becomes the air you breathe. Choose today, and heaven will write the new chapter of your story with the inks of eternity. My son, my daughter, even after everything, my love still waits for you. I never tire of calling. I never tire of believing. I never tire of caring. While many have abandoned you, thinking you took too long, I remain here, in the same place where I first saw you, with open arms and a heart full of hope. Because my love knows no giving up. It waits even when time seems to drag on, even when the world has given up on believing. I saw when your faith wavered, when fear convinced you that my silence was absence. I saw when you turned away, thinking I would no longer hear you. And yet, I remain near, like a faithful shadow, watching over you while I awaited your return. I did not look at you with accusation. I looked at you with tenderness, because one who truly loves does not impose deadlines. They only wait for the right moment to be received. Many think that my love is like the love of men, fragile, impatient, conditional. But my love is fundamental. It does not retreat when rejected. It does not weaken when ignored. It simply continues, constant, silent, indestructible. It is this love that kept you alive in the days when you no longer knew what hope was. It was this love that covered you when you couldn't even pray. You can't imagine how many times I was about to reveal something new to you, but I needed to wait for your heart to slow down. I waited for the moment when the noise subsided, when the voices fell silent, so that you could hear me again. I never stopped talking. I just spoke more softly, hoping that you would seek me in the silence. Because the love I have for you doesn't want to compete for your attention, it wants to win your trust. There is a sacred beauty in those who return to me after having strayed. All of heaven rejoices when a child returns, because the return is always stronger than the departure. What you learned along the way, even with pain, now makes you wiser. And I even use your flaws as raw material for your transformation. Nothing you have experienced has been wasted. Everything is being restored in my hands. My child, I don't want your fear. I want your yes. I don't want your guilt. I want your heart. Don't be ashamed of the time that has passed, because time doesn't erase your worth. What was lost can be restored. What was forgotten can be remembered. What was broken can be remade. Grace didn't just conquer sin, it conquered the clock. And that's why, even now, there is still time. My love is not still. It surrounds you. It goes before you, opening paths, follows you to prevent falls, and envelops you so that nothing can steal it from you again. Your story is still being written, and each time your heart moves toward me, love grows, purpose aligns, and the promise draws near. I know that sometimes you wonder if it's still worth believing, and I tell you, it is, because the love that waits is the same love that fulfills. When I promise, I don't forget. When I wait, I prepare. And when you finally surrender, everything that seemed distant comes closer all at once. There comes a time when words cease and love speaks for itself. That's what's happening now. You don't need to say anything, just feel. Feel the weight of the burden lifting, the lightness returning, the peace taking shape within you. That is my love finding you again. There is no mistake that can stop you from returning, nor delay that can tire me. I continue waiting, patient, faithful, with the same gaze of one who saw the beginning and already knows the end. Because the end, son, daughter, is not defeat, it is reunion. When you finally understand this, you'll realize you were never alone. Because while you thought you were drifting away, I was already waiting for you at the turnaround point. And the love that awaits you is the same love that sustains you, the same love that called you in the beginning, the same love that still speaks now, the same love that will never stop calling you. If this message touches your heart, share it. Someone needs to remember that God's love is still waiting. And so, the circle closes. The story begins and ends in the same place. Love, a love that doesn't demand perfection, only presence. A love that doesn't demand haste, only reciprocation. And when you return, you will discover that what you expected from me was always what I expected from you. A heart willing to love back. My son, my daughter, I am still speaking to you. Neither your haste, nor your weariness, nor the voices that surround you have been able to silence what I have begun. When you thought the message was over, when you believed you had heard everything, behold, my voice returns not to repeat, but to deepen. Because what I begin in your spirit is not a discourse, it is a work. And works of eternity do not end in a video, they end in a transformed life. I interrupt your path again, as I did at the beginning, and remind you, it was no accident that the word found you. I crossed your path with my presence to rescue what distraction stole from you, to align what fear misaligned, to quiet what anxiety agitated. I am still speaking to you because there are still layers to be healed, memories to be restored, decisions to be sealed. Do you hear the same tone of tenderness and authority that reached you before? It is the seal by which you are known to me. When I called you back then, I already saw this moment. I saw you stronger, more lucid, closer. That is why I have spoken to you again, so that you do not confuse sensation with direction. Sensation passes, direction remains. The direction is return to the center, return to simplicity, return to me. You ask me, Lord, why do you repeat yourself? I repeat myself because I love you. I repeat myself because I know the strength of the winds that distract you, the pressure of routine that engulfs you, the subtlety of guilt disguised as prudence. I repeat myself because faith is strengthened by hearing, and your heart needs to hear again to remember the path. Each repetition is a brick in the wall of your constancy. It is not redundancy, it is foundation. I'm still talking to you about the silence that heals, about the listening that opens paths, about the yes that changes destinies. I'm still talking to you about grace with a deadline, decisions with the weight of eternity, surrender that restores your lightness. I'm still talking to you because I still want you closer than yesterday. The love that called you in the beginning now calls you deeper. My child, do not fear the constant restarting. My kingdom is made of returns. He who learns to return quickly does not get lost. Therefore, I invite you to transform this listening into a habit, this encounter into a sacred routine, this presence into a fixed address of your soul. Make my voice your first news of the day and your last rest of the night. Align your breath with my step. When I stop, you rest. When I advance, you flourish. I'm still talking to you about the doors I closed to protect you, and about the ones I will effortlessly open when your heart is whole. About the tears that watered promises, and about the dawn that already tinges the horizon. About the purpose that hasn't expired, and the flame that never went out. Nothing I revealed is left behind. Everything remains active in your spirit. Do you realize how my voice finds you in the same inner place where it began? This is the secret of the divine loop. The end returns you to the beginning, but with maturity. You return to the starting point, not to repeat cycles, but to seal your identity. Now, when I say, listen, your heart will recognize it more quickly. When I say, wait, fear will make less noise. When I say, come, your feet will respond without negotiation. I am still speaking to you to tell you that belonging is not an emotion, it is a position. Take your position in me, beloved son, chosen daughter, protected, redirected, sent back. From here, walk with the certainty of one who knows to whom they belong. Keep the altar burning with small daily acts of obedience. Constancy is the language that transforms words into history. And when your mind tries to tell you that all of this was just a beautiful moment, remember, I spoke at the beginning, I spoke in the middle, I speak now, and I will speak again, as many times as necessary, until my voice becomes the background music of your life. My goal is not for you to create intense memories, but for you to build a stable life. And stability in my path is born from always listening. So breathe, quiet your soul, and receive again. I am still speaking to you, and as I speak, I realign, restore, reposition. This is the same love that intercepted you. It is the same God who guides you. From where you are, I lead you to the next step. From where you fell, I lift you up again. From where you say yes to me, I make you move forward without fear. If this voice confirms something in your heart, stay close, like and subscribe to continue walking under this word. Now, let this ending lead you back to the beginning. Listen again. For I, the Lord, am still speaking to you. And each time you listen, the heavens move anew. My son, my daughter, what I began in you continues. Nothing was interrupted, only matured in silence. What you call a pause is, in truth, preparation. My actions are not instantaneous. As the world has taught you, they are constant, invisible, and faithful. Even when it seems that everything has stopped, I continue to mold you, align you, guide you. What I planted within you is still germinating. The promises I made have not expired. They are growing into deep roots where the eyes cannot reach. You believe that ordinary days are empty, but it is on those days that I work the most. While you wash the dishes, while you walk distractedly, while you think that life has lost its rhythm, I continue building you from within. Nothing was lost, nothing was wasted. Your old prayers still echo, your old tears still water. What began between us was not a moment of emotion, it was the beginning of an eternal cycle of transformation. There are seasons when I make you run, and others when I make you wait. But in all of them, spiritual life continues to flow. When you stop feeling, I teach you to trust. When you stop seeing, I teach you to remember. When the path seems to repeat itself, it is because I am taking you deeper, not backward, but in a spiral, each turn closer to the center. Faith is not a straight line, it is an ascending spiral, and each return is progress in disguise. You look at your flaws and think you've regressed, but the stumbles haven't taken you out of the process. They've only revealed how much space I still need within you. With each fall, I make you more sensitive, more attentive, more dependent. That's how I shape my chosen ones. I don't break to punish, I break to fit. And when the pieces come together again, the vessel becomes stronger than before. What has begun continues because it doesn't depend solely on you. It depends on my love, and my love never tires. It depends on my faithfulness, and I never fail. While you doubt, I continue working. While you question, I continue sustaining. while you think you've strayed too far. I continue drawing your steps closer to your purpose. I don't give up on those who begin. You are part of a plan that has no end. Each phase of your life is a chapter in a book that is already complete in my eyes. What confuses you today will make you grateful tomorrow. What hurts you today will become strength tomorrow. I erase nothing. I transform everything. My work is continuous and perfect, even when it is still unfinished in your eyes. Therefore, do not seek endings, seek constancy. Do not say, I am finished. Say, I remain. Faith is not a short race. It is a long road. And each step, however small it may seem, has eternal value. When you think you are merely surviving, you are actually being promoted to maturity. Growing in spirit is learning to continue when the emotion ends, when the applause ceases, when the outside voice falls silent, and only mine remains. My son, what began between us began in the invisible, and the invisible never dies. It only changes, form, matures, bears fruit. You are living proof of this. What was once a seed is now a root. What was once a prayer is now a path. What was once despair is now wisdom. Everything in you is part of a divine process that does not go back. And when you doubt, return to this place. Close your eyes and remember, the same God who began is here, now, in the same tone of voice, with the same love, with the same care. I did not leave you in the middle, because the middle is my preferred terrain. It is where I forge, teach, prepare, and reveal. Do not fear time. Time does not delay the promise. It only expands its reach. I work in dimensions that your mind cannot measure, and therefore what seems to take time is in fact multiplication. So remain, keep walking even without haste. Keep praying even without feeling it. Keep believing even without seeing it, because what has begun does not depend on circumstances. It depends on my word, and my word never returns empty. If this word speaks to you, comment with faith. Continue, Lord, and let the process continue to flow within you. What I began in you wasn't lost, it's simply expanding. The story isn't over, it just paused to grow. And when this cycle renews itself, you will understand. What began continues, and the love that shaped you is still writing the next chapter. Son, daughter, we have reached the point where everything meets again. It is not the end, it is the return. The same breath that called you in the beginning returns now, but you are no longer the same. The path has changed you. The voice has shaped you. Love has matured you. What once began as a search now becomes communion. And it is here, in this instant, that the circle closes not to end, but to begin again in a deeper, more conscious, more intimate way. Do you understand? The sound you hear now is the same sound that called you back then, but something has changed. Before, you listened with fear. Now, you listen with understanding. Before, you sought explanations. Now, you simply recognize the presence. Before, you wondered if it was real. Now, you know it always was. What seemed like a sequence of messages was, in fact, a single call to return to me and remain. This is the point where everything begins and everything returns, the point of listening, the place where words are no longer information but beats, where the voice of God ceases to be external and begins to pulsate from within, the place where the heart becomes an altar and time loses its name because the eternal begins to inhabit the instant. You thought the story had ended, but the love that formed you doesn't know how to end it, only knows how to continue. The divine loop isn't repetition, it's continuity. It returns you to the starting point, but each time more awakened. It's like the sea returning to the shore, always the same, yet always new. I bring you back not to repeat what has already been said, but so that you may feel what you are now capable of, understanding. Everything you have heard up to this point has been a building block. Each word was a brick in the temple that now rises within you. You no longer need to look for signs outside. The sign is in what you have become. My spirit now speaks in the same rhythm as your breathing, and that is why silence no longer frightens it, only confirms that I am here. The starting point is where fear gives way to rest, where you stop running and learn to stay, where you discover that you don't need novelty, only depth. Because the miracle is not in hearing something new, but in hearing it again with a transformed heart. The same phrase now carries a different weight, a different anointing, a different life. And that is grace, the power to return without regressing. I brought you here to show you that there was never any interruption. The pauses you felt were merely breaths between one movement and another. I never stopped speaking. The difference is that now you learn to listen even when the sound doesn't come in words. You learn to perceive my presence in small things, in repetitions, in the simple, in the everyday. That is spiritual maturity, recognizing the extraordinary within the ordinary. When your spirit understands this, there is no more boredom nor haste, because God's time is a circle, not a line. What began in love, ends in love, and begins again in love. It is the cycle that never ends, the source that never dries up, the voice that is never silenced. Look around you. Everything seems the same, but you are no longer the person who began this journey. What hurt you now teaches you. What confused you now guides you. And what weighed you down now strengthens you. This is redemption, the gift of returning to the beginning with a whole heart. And here, in this return, I receive you again. The same God who intercepted you at the beginning is the one who embraces you now. The same love that sought you out back then is the one that envelops you at this very moment. Nothing was lost, everything was fulfilled. Now, just breathe and listen. Listen to the sound of my presence, whispering again as before. Listen to the memory of the first call. Listen to the echo of son, daughter that opens and closes this story. The cycle is perfect. The beginning is the end, and the end is the beginning. And if your heart is silent now and feels the same shiver you felt with the first word, it's because the voice that called you is still here. I never stopped. I never stopped speaking. I never stopped calling you. And so, the video is renewed. The sound begins again. The presence returns. And I say once more, as if it were the first time, I am still talking to you.